Morena, very good morning to you. Welcome to the Punters Lounge Live, brought to you by Valachi Downs and a recent acquisition to Valachi's stallion roster, US Navy Flag, the European 2-year-old of the year and the champion European 3-year-old sprinter, won 3 Group 1s and won the Dewhurst in record time, stands at great value in the upcoming breeding season for Valachi Downs. So check that out. Check out the bloodlines, sensational bloodlines. Son of Warfront, and so you've got the Stormcat, Mr. Prospector bloodline there, US Navy Flag. Heaps coming up on the show. We're all about winners here on the Punters Lounge Live, and we are going to hit the ground running by taking you to Ruakaka and joining Chris Gibbs, who is preparing his team with Michelle Bradley. Matthew Gillies has got 2 big rides in the jumping feature races at Awapuni this afternoon. He will join us. Then we will take you to our Australian correspondents, beginning with Brad Gray, who will preview the best from Rose Hill, and then Ben Ascari of Racing.com, who will provide us his best from Sandown today. Following that, we will go back to Awapuni, where Bevan Sweeney will be hosting the Jumps Day at Awapuni, and he'll be providing his $100 strategy and best bets. Aidan Rodley is at Ruakaka, and he will give us the latest in weather and track conditions, and also give us his $100 strategy and his best bets. On the other side is Stephen Hunt, who controls all the money and sees where it's going. Good morning to you, Stephen.
Morning, Jason.
Can you tell us about the bells and whistles and what's setting them off at this stage?
2 contrasting track conditions. Ruakaka playing on a dead track, and Awapuni it's going to be bottomless at a heavy 11. Just starting at Awapuni, the feature flat races where punters have gone, Jason, early doors when we opened the feature over the 1500 metres for the open handicap on Wednesday. They came in pretty hard for the favourite in Rosewood, number 1 in the book, with that 4 kg claim. Gets it down to 56 kilograms. Weight for age back to handicap conditions, and will relish the track conditions at Awapuni. Will Rosewood opened at $1.90, now trading at $1.80. It's a number of 4-figure bets. Probably holds around about 80% of total turnover, Rosewood, so she's clearly been the best bat runner down in the Central Districts today. And up at Ruakaka, no surprise here, Jason, a Gibbs and Bradley horse has been one of the best bat runners on the card, and I speak of Super G in race 7, the rating 65 mile. Now, there's horses that probably hold more money than Super G, but the key fact here was what got it over the line in terms of the best bat runners, the lack of support for the remaining 11 runners in the remaining 12 runners in the field. I think it's a 13 horse field. So the remaining 12 runners, a lack of support around them to beat Super G, who opened at $2.80, now travelling at $2.10. There's been a few scratches to get that price in, but he looks to start one of the best bat runners up and down the card at Ruakaka.
Excellent stuff, Stephen. We'll also come to you about some of those races where there have been significant scratchings, obviously dual-nominated horses that have chosen one race over the others, just so we can get deductions for people that placed their bets before those horses came out. So we'll touch on that throughout the day. But we continue with the Money Back Madness promotion, and boy, that's been a lot of fun for punters.
And the key around this is look for maybe 1 or 2 that stand out early in the program. We're looking at the meetings here. Ruakaka, Awapuni and Rose Hill will be the Australian meeting. It has been up in Brisbane of late, but we're heading to Rose Hill. The first 2 races, up to $30 and a refund if your horse doesn't manage to win but runs 2nd, 3rd or 4th.
Does it change how you sort of operate your book, that sort of thing, Stephen, or do you just operate business as usual?
Business as usual, but we do see a few of these horses play. Just the number of bets that come through. We'll touch on those key races later in the program when we go and target the race by race, but we do see a trend where they tend to back maybe the first 2 in betting. As we see those numbers of bets per runner do climb in the first 2 races, particularly on those numbers 1 and 2 in betting. So yeah, interesting to follow in the last couple months, to say the least.
Excellent stuff. Stephen Hunt in Petone, and we'll be checking in with him throughout the Punters Lounge Live this morning. Okay, giving you the weather, track and scratchings for our 2 New Zealand venues. Starting with Awapuni, the meeting code of 4 is the betting number. Occasional showers southwesterlies. The track is officially a heavy 11, and so we will get that updated with Bevan Sweeney as to just quite how testing it will be. The running rail is in the true position. So that's the Central Districts venue, also racing at Ruakaka on the meeting code of 2. And there, the track is a dead 5 and the running rail in the true position. A few showers around lunchtime possible. That sort of features in the forecast. Southwesterlies, but we're hoping that that rain more or less stays away during the program. Obviously, if it rains during the card and horses galloping, things could change. But looking forward to both meetings today.
A good old go here, Birdie Blitz. Tabby's back, lunged, got it. Greencast will beat. Photos here between Jake the Muss and Woodsman. Vine Vale holding sway. Vine Vale wins. Great go here. Not usual. Hard has come from last. Huge run. Another one for Chris Gibbs. That is 4 for the day. Kyrieleis on in front though. Kyrieleis on one and another one for Chris Gibbs. Chris Gibbs, what's that? 5 for the day?
This day last year, Chris Gibbs was on absolute fire, teaming up with Michelle Bradley. This year, they have a big team across the 8-race card, and Chris Gibbs kindly joins us on the Punters Lounge Live. Good morning to you, Chris. What can you tell us about the weather that presents now and what it's likely to be throughout the day?
Hi, Jason. Yeah, the track should stay good, I think. It only really changes if we get some sort of decent heavy rain on the day, and they are, like you said, they are forecasting some showers, but it's beautiful at the moment, so hopefully.
Always a busy day for you, I know, so we appreciate you giving up your time. We'll go through all the races, starting with race number 1. It's a staying trip, and obviously Red Cayenne coming out changes the nature of it. Volant looks like the leader. You've got Dragon Storm, who's showing up at the moment at $3.20. Last time at the track, Dragon Storm was quite brilliant. How happy are you with him and how he's come through that run?
Oh, no, I'm very happy with him, Jason. He was obviously due to run at Ellerslie a little while ago, but it was just a bit testing on that Monday of the long weekend, and we thought, well, we'd rather wait for this. It is a jump in class. That's about the only thing. But he's in good order, and he'd only have to run as good as he did last time, and I think he'd be sort of right in it somewhere, especially with the top weight out.
Showed a really good turn of foot. That must have pleased you.
Yes, it did actually. I was, we always had this idea that he was just a bit one-paced, and Leith Dennis rode him at Ellerslie for us, and he said, gee, if you can just get him over a mile and a half, he's going to stay all day. So we were sort of thinking, oh, well, we'll just use this run at Ruakaka, because there's just nothing around for those sort of horses. It's hard to place them. And he was, tardy out of the gates again, and Opie he had no choice but to just ride him and sit quietly. And he came right up underneath him and travelled beautifully the whole way. And he said, when he pulled him out, he just worked on him and he quietly started to make the ground. So I guess that's the thing to him. He's just going to have to get some clear air at the right time.
Race number 2 is the Whangarei Bus Services. You've got 3 runners in it, and in this maiden, it's over 1,400 metres with Lord Polonius $3.30. Chapeau with the blinkers on is $5.50. My Sky drawn 12 is at $16. Starting with Lord Polonius to begin with, has had the last couple of runs at Pukekohe and also Ruakaka for second. What did you make of those?
Yeah, all of his runs have actually been very good. He's still learning a little bit, and we did discuss the thought of putting blinkers on him. We worked him up in them, and I wasn't that happy at the time, really, that he worked well enough in them. He was doing a couple of things wrong, and I thought, well, he's probably going to go for a spell after this anyway. We'll just leave him alone at the moment and maybe consider blinkers next time. But he's in good order. His work's been good. He's fresh and nice. And the same with Chapeau. She's done the same thing. So.
Makataka was beating Lord Polonius last time and will line up in the 4th on the program. Tell us a little bit more about Chapeau. She's often been there in her maiden races. She's had 10 attempts thus far, so you're expecting slightly sharper sort of run to the line from the daughter of Denman with those blinkers on?
Yeah, she was just over-racing a little bit, and she wasn't quite strong enough to race handy early in the piece. She lacked that strength, so... but it was something we'd always tossed around. We just had to get her to settle properly. So I think she's sort of done that. But in saying that, we have freshened her a touch. Her work's been good. She should race handy from her draw. And with blinkers on, from what I can gather, that the owners have told us that actually the family seems to be a family that has had blinkers on and can improve them. So we've gone along down that path, and let's hope that she can just get that elusive win.
What are you expecting from My Sky in a fresh state?
She can really gallop My Sky, but from her draw, we're really dictated by that. I think we just go back fresh. She will be running on strongly. I know that for a fact. But she just may get a little bit too far out of her ground. But it's a good starting point for her.
Race number 3 is the Northland Veterinary Clinic over 1,400 metres for the rating 82 gallopers. Hanger is $3.30. You've got Magic of the Sun there at $4.80. And you present Amazing As at $4, Chris, a horse that showed a lot of ability last preparation. What happened at the tail end of last preparation that saw that form sort of maybe be a little bit below expectation?
Yeah, it was below, and there just had to be something going on. He hung quite bad in that race and ran out. And it turned out he had a little niggly injury in a leg that didn't show up until some pretty serious vetting and things that popped up, and so it was enough to be causing him pain under full extreme pressure, where it wasn't actually showing up in his work. So it was an unusual one, and the vet was quite flabbergasted when he saw it. But he's had a good spell. He is a serious horse. I know that for a fact. He's so I think you just got to put a line through that last run completely. Probably a bit short, and they may be a bit classy for him over the distance, but he's a nice horse, and I'd expect him to run very well.
How encouraged were you with his trial when he ran second at Avondale about a month ago?
I'm very happy with it. Very happy with the trial. The track was dead, but it was sort of cutting out a little bit, and we just wanted to send him there just to bring him on a touch. He probably didn't really need it as such. He might have been sharper for this, but because he'd had such a long layoff, the fact is, you just want to get a nice, quiet something under their belt before they have their first run with such a big break. So I'm happy with him. His work's been really good. And I just hope I've got enough a little bit of spark in his legs to show something fresh up. So, no, I'm very happy with him.
Chris Gibbs speaking to us on the Punters Lounge Live about his and Michelle Bradley's runners today, speaking of Amazing As in very glowing terms, and maybe a horse that you want to go to the TAB website and favourite, because not only for today's fresh up assignment but for future assignments as it gets deeper into a preparation and over ground. Race number 4 is over 1,600 metres for the 3-year-olds, and $2.80 is the price for Quizmaster, the favourite in the event. We saw Makataka break maidens in a video clip a few moments ago before not really coping with the heavy track at Ellerslie. Stilton has been running on brilliantly, the daughter of Savabeel. What can you tell us about Quizmaster and the gelded son of Ifraj relative to Makataka?
I think they're both on a par. I do. The difference, I think it's going to be hard to know how Quizmaster, where he's going to race. I would think he'd be forward. He's been a little bit, he can be a little bit sort of bullish in his run sometimes, and Cameron may elect to go forward on him, so I'll just leave that up to him. Whereas Makataka can be forward, but also he's not going to over race. He'll just sit where he's put, which is that's a big plus. So if I was leaning towards one, it'd probably be him. I'd put a line through Makataka's last run, but Quizmaster, I thought his run was very, very good considering he swept around them at counties, and it's very hard to hit the front at the top of counties and try and lead all the way down the straight. I think if you've seen enough races there, you'll see that most of them get bombed, but he stuck on really well. So I was pleased with his run, and he's improved.
So very strong hand in race number 4, the 3-year-old race, that is for sure. Going to the next on the program, race number 5, where we see Riki Tiki Tavi in the Trig Construction, and the visor goes on Riki Tiki Tavi, a sprinting mare, Chris, who has been so competitive against the highest quality sprinters in New Zealand, it must be said. So you must think that this sort of race is well within her grasp.
Yeah, I do. I mean, even her last run, if you really put it in perspective, I know it sort of looked ordinary, but she drew wide there. We raced back. I sort of said to Sam, there's no point trying to come around them, but she sort of elected to do that, and she's been beaten 3.8 lengths, but it was still a good run. She tries very hard. Some people might have been disappointed with it, but I actually thought, considering that was a front running track. So we've decided to just change something around a little bit. We put the visor blinkers on. She's had different sorts of gear on way back previously, and the only reason she sort of stopped was she didn't breathe that well. She's since had a tongue tie on in every race she's had, and it certainly made turned her around a bit. So I would like to think that she may jump and be quite handy today, and even lead if there's nothing else that wants to do that. So it'll be an interesting run today. I guess she deserves to be favourite if you're looking at the sort of races she's running, and like you said, against very good company. So, it'd be nice to get her back in that winner's circle, definitely.
Very interesting to see if she can jump and go and whether she can stay on Riki Tiki Tavu. We know how competitive she has been. That's race number 5. The Ryburn and Bryant 1200 is the next on the program, and Mum's Jewel is $4.40 from Von Trapp. You've got Chiquitita and Chin Chin at $7 and $9.50. Call Me Murphy is $16 and jumps from barrier 10. That win, breaking maidens, was a narrow victory, but a deserved one, Chris.
Yeah, he blew out the last little bit, so it's probably. I was very happy that he managed to just hold on. He was a bit chubby, so he's improved a lot since that run. Draw was very awkward. I think there is enough pace in there. He's going to end up, if he tries to go forward, he's just going to get caught wide. So we'll just have to ride him, hopefully, for a bit of luck. And so, if he can be in the first half dozen or so, I'd be extremely happy with that. But I think it sort of sets up a bit better for the other filly, yeah.
Do you think Mum's Jewel can go on with it today? Because, again, she was quite dominant in the margin and the manner of her victory.
She was. She really did put them to the sword the other day, and I'd like to think she could do it again, because she's certainly in exactly the same order, if not. She was fit the other day, and we've just kept it ticking over, more maintenance type gallops and things like that, and she just looks awesome. She's got a beautiful draw. Matty's ridden her before. He knows her, and to Matt's credit, we've always been trying to get her to settle and come back, and it was a work in progress, because she was quite she used to bore down into the bit and be hard to stop. So we chose to go forward the other day, and because she was fit and well, she's a big, strong filly. So there won't be any change to those instructions, and so I think that and Matt will pop her out of the gates and get her forward. There's a little bit of speed in it, and of course you've got to respect there's some good form in this race. It's a good betting race. So certainly not a home run by any means, but she's my best chance of the 3, definitely.
Sort of how important have the air covers been the last 2 starts and allowing her to settle as well, just a little bit better?
Yeah, I think it's made a lot of difference. It just needed to be just to give you that little bit of at the end, that little bit of energy. She just used to over race, and she'd use it all up early. So I mean, if the air covers, whether they've actually done that or whether she's just learned to be a little bit more, easier to handle in the races. But I certainly won't be taking them off anyway, Jason. We've got a good result out of it, and I think she'll run very, very well today. She'll be right in it.
You're training the Fame Game for the Rogers also. Is it a case from the draw of just trying to get the horse to settle a little bit over the trip and then go from today's race onwards?
Yeah, we had a chat to Robin and Russell a little while ago when I was down at their property in Cambridge, and they would sort of mentioned that this horse, he probably wants that better ground, and rather than travelling him up and backwards and forwards all the time, just asked us to take him on, which was great. He's quite a fierce customer. I've watched all his runs, and I changed a little bit of gear, but to be honest, I'm only putting on things that he's probably had on before anyway. I just hope there's enough. If there's plenty of pace in the race, then he could just roll over top of them. The big thing is getting into settle. Matt Cameron rode him, and he's strong at Ellerslie, and he just reefed and pulled, and you had to pull him out. Otherwise, you think he was going to clip heels. So he's a difficult horse. We're just going to hope that he doesn't do too many things wrong, because he obviously can gallop. We'll just have to see on that one. He's a bit of a mystery one.
Race number 7 is over the 1600 metres, brought to you by Pierce's Flooring Extra, rating 65. Super G, we've heard from Stephen Hunt, it's very well backed, $2.10. 3 runners in the race for you and Michelle here, Chris. Super G, is he clearly the best of them?
I think so. I think he's a standout in amongst them. He'll race, on pace. He's got a lovely draw. He's a big horse. He can push his way out of the way if he needs to. His form's awesome. I mean, he only failed once in that mile, in the Karaka mile, and it was because he was nominated. You probably get sucked into running. It might not have been the best race, but we put a line through that. And if you look at the rest of his form, it's very, very good. He is a stayer, but I think the mile up here on his home track He'd be hard to beat, yeah, definitely.
Red Dynamo and also Boogie Easy in the race. We've seen the closing stages of Ellerslie and Verbalise all line up in race number 8 for Shane Crawford. But how about the other two chances? What are you expecting from those?
Well, Boogie Easy, if you were going on just form and things, her run was really good on quite a testing track at Ellerslie. We sort of threw her in there and she came out quite wide and still ran very, very well. We thought, well, not much point bypassing our own home track on a better surface. She'll probably, if we can get her forward, she might race quite handy. Depends how she jumps, so that'll be up to Craig. But Steph's first time up to the mile. It'll be interesting to see whether she is a miler. I don't know, but she's in good order, so we're just going to give her a bit of a try. And the other horse, Red Dynamo, he's bred to go over a lot more ground. He did so many things wrong, but he actually bit down on his tongue. Just as Sean tried to ease him back, he was just sort of getting a bit keen out facing the breeze and had no cover. And he tried to stop him and he just got a bit ignorant, but he actually chewed on his tongue, came in with a big chunk and was bleeding quite bad. So you've got to forgive him for that because his manners haven't been too bad in his runs. So that's why we've ended up back here. We've put him in a couple of places, but it was just wide draws. And now we just sort of thought, well, we can't keep putting it off. But he will go forward from the draw. I'm not going to muck around today. I think he's better forward and in front. So if not long, hopefully nothing else goes with him. I'd like to see him go forward and take up the pace.
Okay, in the last race is Bream Bay Printing and a big hand, very busy close to the program for Team Gibbs and Bradley. Copper Fox is $3.20. Poker Face is at $7. Lady Sequoia at $16 and Los Angeles at $51. Now, Poker Face has attracted good support, and today the son of Jimmy Shue has a far kinder draw than what was delivered to him at Ellerslie last time.
Yeah, exactly. I guess on that run from the draw, I thought I would rank him as my probably number one chance. Even though I have a huge respect for Copper Fox, I like him a lot. I always have. It really is just whether Sam can get Copper Fox out. But Poker Face, his run at Ellerslie was huge. He came right around them, covered a heap of ground, and really hit the line strongly. So his form's good at Ruakaka. He'd only have to frank that form and just be a touch handier in the run without, sort of stuffing up the way he likes to race. But Andrew's ridden them before; he knows them, so won't be too many instructions. It'll just be more like get him out in the open and get him rolling a bit earlier, probably. And if you get a good chance to see how the track's playing out by then, and whether we have to change things a little bit. But he's my best chance, definitely.
Couple of 4-year-old mares and Lady Sequoia and also Los Angeles in that race. Well, no doubt your favourite part of any interview about your runners at your home track, Chris. We're going through your book of runners. Dragon Storm in the first, Lord Polonius, Chapeau My Sky in the second, Amazing As in the third, Quizmaster and Makataka into Riki Tiki Tavi in the fifth, Call Me Murphy in race number 6 there. We've also got Mum's Jewel, the Fame Game, and various other runners down the page. Super G, Red Dynamo, Boogie Easy, Poker Face, Copper Fox, Lady Sequoia, Los Angeles. We'll give you 2, we'll give you best, and then we'll give you next best. We'll make it fractionally easier for you.
Well, I suppose I think Super G, he's a lovely horse, and we'll go on with things. If I had to throw value into it, it would be Poker Face. He's paying okay, I think. But for the punters out there, I guess it's a matter of just watching how the track plays out. If they're not coming from behind, it makes it a little difficult for those horses that get back. So Lady Sequoia should turn her form around, and even from the draw, she'll race hand. That's the secret if she's got gate speed. So it's like between, you just got to hope that they can get forward, and if the track plays that way. So it's more like just watch what's happening and maybe adjust your bet punting as the day goes on.
It's always a hard question, Chris, because obviously you want every runner that you present to perform well. What would sort of be a par number of wins that you and the team would be happy with?
Today?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, there's a couple resuming that are chances of winning, but if you were going to just be ruthless about it, I would like to think, without sounding smart, I would like to think 3. I think Mum's Jewel can win, Super G, We've got a good hand in the last race. And then any of the other ones, Ricky Ticky's a good chance, but I'm just not quite sure with the change of gear. You never know what they do sometimes there. But if I could get one, I'd be wrapped. If I can get three, I'd be over the moon. So anything around that would be great.
Outstanding. Chris Gibbs there. We thank you for your time. All the best to you, Michelle, and the team, the big team required to produce all your runners in tip-top condition across the 8 races today. From Chris Gibbs to Stephen Hunt. And Stephen, obviously you have that very interesting book, Number of Winners for Gibbs Bradley. How have you framed that up?
Chris Gibbs, he's nailed it. He's looked at the risk manager. 3 wins is the current favourite, Jason, in our market at $2.60 and options 767. You see there graphically. 1 win at $7, 2 wins $3.30. 3 wins, the most popular at $2.60. 4 wins $3.50. 5 wins $8. 6 wins at $35, and God help me if we see 7 or more wins, $2.01. And 0 wins, I doubt it very much at 31, Jason. But look at that graphically, all the number of runners that they've got looks a little bit of a head scratcher, quite daunting graphically for punters. But I can assure you there's been 4 or 5 that have been well supported, and I've got no doubt they'll be right in the mix in their respective races. But if I could narrow 1 or 2 outside the one we've already mentioned in Super G at a $2.10 price, Lord Paulinus has been well supported. Probably holds the most amount of money in terms of dollars invested, Lord Paulinus, out of any Gibbs and Bradley runner up and down the card, 360 and a 330. And he's not wrong about Poker Face versus Copper Fox. At the moment, Poker Face holds 2 times more money than the current favourite in the last today, Copper Fox.
Excellent stuff. Stephen Hunt, thanks for your information there. And don't forget that Gibbs Bradley special. How many winners? 767 is the option number. Okay, that's Ruakaka wrapped for now. We'll hone in on Awapuni in a couple of jumping feature races with Matthew Gillies providing the information on his 2 mounts next.
You're gonna find out you can't hold me down. You see, I'm the king in the summertime.
He's All Jazz. Willie's got him though. Willie John McBride will beat a very game. He's All Jazz.
A big welcome back to the winners' enclosure. Matthew Gillies, former champion jumps jockey. Great addition to the riding ranks. This is the feeling you've wanted to get back in the saddle, and that's that winning feeling. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's taken a few years to get my head back to 100% and get me mentally wanting to get out there and getting that adrenaline rush back, so it's been good to get out there.
Outstanding rider Matthew Gillies, and he joins us on the Punters Lounge Live, brought to you by Valachi Downs, because it's Awapuni Hurdles and Steeplechase Day. Good morning, Matthew. How pumped are you for the rides you have today?
Yeah, no, they're both, real good wet track horses that are, right hard fit, and that's what you want today with this, conditions. Going to be like a heavy 20 probably out there today.
Yeah, it's not going to be straightforward, but speaking of Galante and the Manawatu ITM Awapuni Hurdles backing up from Trentham last week when finishing second, what have you made of what you've seen of his sort of runs this preparation?
He did 2 good runs over this hurdle. The other day at Wellington, it was a week ago, so, he ran second, got beat by, good horse, Bad Boy Brown. So, thinking that coming in off a week, he should be a lot fitter. He jumps well. Probably just got to hold him together and try and see, that he makes it a little bit more in the tank at the end of today.
He seems to really relish the heavy conditions. We know how well performed he is on the flat. How have you assessed his jumping on the sidelines, and how much are you looking forward to getting aboard him?
Money he's won and everything, and he's got some good trainer, Graham. Everything looks positive for him. So one wins up with hopefully.
Also in that race is Al Corby, class above and max. Al Corby's 440, class above is 7, max is at $8. Galante himself is the $2.50 favourite for the event. I know you'll have to sort of talk to Graham Rogerson and connections, but have you got any sort of ideas on how you'd best like to ride him?
Raced quite keenly the other day. He was behind the leader, but hopefully, being that he raced a week ago, should settle a little bit better
LJ Hooker Manawatu steeplechase. You've got an excellent ride in that, Gargarin, a horse that you know rather intimately. I think something like 14 times you've been aboard Gargarin, and obviously a good association with him this preparation. What have you made of how he's gone this time up?
Yeah, he's been a great horse to me. We have a good combination. When I fell off him at Wellington, that wasn't so good, but I mean, I let that go by because he's been really good to me, most of the time. So last year he got beat by the favourite. Talking to Kevin Myers, he said that he wasn't right last year. He had feet problems, and so he's come back a lot better this year. So hopefully, knowing that, he should be a better horse.
Yeah, 2015, what a moment winning the Swept Northern Hurdle. We're seeing the closing stages of his run in the McGregor Grant, where he ran 5th. What did you make of that performance?
He does race, a little bit keen sometimes, and I think that just took it out of him going over the hill twice, and it's the first time he's been over that. So considering that, it was a good run, and then, coming in today, that fitness should come to the fore.
Obviously, it's been quite a long time between that Great Northern Hurdle success, but what you've felt from him, the very testing conditions at Awapuni, how do you think he'll cope?
Yeah, he's 10-year-old now, so I think he does like it a little bit better. He seems to be a better horse on, a little bit better tracks, but he's hard to sit now, and he has loved that track before. So with those things in mind, I think he should get it through fine and be right there in the finish.
So what's your overall confidence levels like? Obviously, Des de Jure in that extraordinary race that both horses were in a year ago. Do you think you can turn the tables on Des de Jure and others and win the race?
What Kevin said about he should be a lot better horse. Pretty confident with that. His fitness is right there. So, and I mean he's been jumping really good over the steeple. So those three things in mind, I think we've a really good chance today.
Excellent. Hey, look, really appreciate your time. Matthew Gillies joining us on the Punters Lounge Live. Safe travels to you and your colleagues over the hurdles and the steeplechase fences today, and in fact all jockeys wherever they're competing in New Zealand and across Australasia. A dangerous profession, and we love and respect what they're able to do on horseback. That was Matthew Gillies, and obviously very keen on the chances of Gargarin in the Manawatu steeplechase. I think I might have said the Awapuni steeplechase, but it's the Awapuni hurdles and the Manawatu steeplechase. We'll talk more about racing from across the Tasman when the Punters Lounge Live returns.
I've been waiting for this all my life. I feel it in my veins. Rolling with you.
How about the other form analysts that we dial up from Australia? Brad Gray has nominated Quackerjack as his best bet.
Quackerjack a length clear from Monsieur Sisu, and the last favourite leads all the way, Quackerjack.
In race number 8, Star of the Seas for Chris Waller.
Star of the Seas a half in front to take it in turn. Who's fighting back gamely, but Star of the Seas too good for take it in turn.
Keep rolling, I stay rolling, I'm rolling. We could be days apart. Different sides of earth and
Well, Brad Gray is seeing the form in Sydney as big as David Warner is seeing the cricket ball at the Cricket World Cup in England, and he joins us on the Punters Lounge Live now. Looking forward to the program at Rose Hill. Brad, what can you tell us about conditions?
Yeah, good morning, Jason. The conditions at the moment, it's a really sunny day here in Sydney, which is obviously a great thing given we're in the guts of winter, but a rain throughout the week, so we're a soft 5. But speaking to the track curators yesterday, they're pretty hopeful that we're going to get into a good 4 range. Obviously, a good 4 in winter is a little bit different to a good 4 over summer. So there's still going to be a little bit of cushion there. But it's going to be a really fair track, rail out 6. But as we know from Rose Hill, it's a really fair deck at the moment, so I expect every runner to get their chance.
That rain, I'm sure, will please the connections of Big Mike, or our Big Mike, as he races in Australia, because he takes his place in the Winter Cup race number 6. How have you assessed this?
Yeah, he could have been excited his first time in Australia, didn't he? Our Big Mike, he ran along at a really good clip. The replay we're going to have a quick look at is the McKell Cup, which looks the obvious form line for this particular race. Our Big Mike went out at a brutal tempo here, which made the win a Hush Rider even better. So obviously there was plenty of merit to it, given it was 2,400 metres first up. Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott obviously had this horse really fit. He returned to gelding. His mind was on the job. The problem with him before this was he was always a little bit colty in the yard and used to run his race before he went out on the track. But he was on his best behaviour here. As I say, carted them up to a really hot tempo and held on at the finish. All he has to do is hold his form to probably win this as well. The query is the SB, isn't it? Because you took $21 there last start. Now you're having to try him in at $2.30. But I certainly think he's a deserved favourite. If there's an improver out of this race, I think it's Tamarack, finished down the track in this race. And Mikel finished 9th of 14. But I think it's time to push the button and he'll be a little bit closer, which can see him improve. As far as dangers go, you've got to probably respect Yogi. He's a horse that is the class runner, 59 kilos on his back. But the Mara and Eustace stable suggests that he's a pretty clean-winded kind of animal. So don't expect him to be beaten on the score of fitness. And as we can see in his form, 2 back there, he's run 5th in a Group 1 Tancred, which obviously stacks up relatively well for him. I do have Hush Rider on top, but I do concede $2.30, probably getting into a short enough quote.
Sturdy New Zealand bred, Yogi. How about race number 8, benchmark 78? How have you assessed this?
Yeah, Sylvia's Mother, there's a lot of shorties on this car. I haven't seen a race meeting quite like this forever, actually. You've got 7 races where there's a favourite at like $2.30 or shorter, and a lot of them are odds on. This is one of them, but it's the one on the day that I'm pretty happy to chime into at the quote. Number 12, Sylvia's Mother. She's a really good filly. She's come back at a time of year where she should be simply too classy. I imagine the Team Hawks are just trying to get a couple of rating points before they slip her into some better races over the carnival, which is approaching. So she's trialled up well, as you'd expect from a horse of her class. Everything you want to see from this particular filly we did see in that trial. They're a nice hole, run to the line. And Tommy Berry is pretty enthused about her because he thinks that she's put on a little bit of pudding, which you want to see from fillies making that transition nearly forward, of course. So she'll need to strengthen up if she's going to race against the older horses. But she's a filly that made some really sharp progression last campaign. Started in a Hawkesbury at Class 2, won that, and then 4 runs later she's running around Group 2, Lightfinger's favourite, which of course was won by Nikita Jane. So I think she's in the right race today to kick off on a winning note. I know she's short, but it should be pretty sweet.
So that was race number 8, the benchmark 88. Speaking of the benchmark 78, and that's race number 4, what did you make of Snow Valley and how she's sort of come up this preparation?
Yeah, I think she's come up in really good nick, Jace. So this is my best of the day. It was a tricky day to find the best with so many shorties, but I think this is the one that we can really hone in on. The market has been pretty attracted to this filly ever since markets first came out. She's probably into about $5 or so now, but I still think that's a reasonable bet. She's run in 2 deep races this campaign, thrown in the deep end by the Matt Dunn yard. First up, she was 4th at Scone in a deep edition of the Denise's Joy. And the replay watching here is her last start up at Doomba behind Maltaja. And Maltaja is going to be one of the fancies going around Tiara, the Group 1 there next week in Queensland. She finished off really hard from the back. I think it's easy to peg her as being a little bit of a backmarker watching her last 2 starts, but she does have tactical speed. She's just been a victim of a couple of really bad gates. She draws soft today, right back in grade. And I think she'll just tuck in behind the speed and give us a really good run for our money in a very suitable race down in the weights.
So to summarise, Snow Valley is your best. What other bets have you got for us?
Yeah, so keen on Snow Valley in race 4. That's race 4, number 10. Sylvia's Mother, happy to take the short odds about her. I think she's come back in very good order and she's going to need to hold form to be winning again. That's race 8, number 12. And one a little bit earlier in the card is Sir Bacchus. I think of the favourites, Asterius is one that's a little bit vulnerable in race 3, around the $2.30, $2.40 like back in trip. So I'm happy to play the stablemate here, Sir Bacchus, race 3, number 2. He's a bit of an enigma, but we're getting the price to find out. And if this turns into a sit and sprint, we know the grade's got a really nice turn of foot. So around the double figure mark, I think he's a reasonable gamble. That's race 3, number 2.
Outstanding. Brad Gray, Racing New South Wales form analyst, joining us on the Punters Lounge Live. And don't forget, Rose Hill is the venue that has the money back promotion on the first 2 races. That is, you can place a win bet on your account up to $30. Has to be your first win bet. If your runner doesn't win, but it finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th, then you will receive your stake back up to that $30 amount. So just for the sake of the promotion, it's a $30 max bet. And it does relate to races 1 and 2 at Rose Hill, our Australian venue. Also to Okaka and Awapuni, as you already know. We've got 9 races coming in from Sandown in Victoria, and Ben Ascari is the Racing.com form analyst that joins us. Good morning, Ben. How's that program shaping up at Sandown today?
Yeah, good morning, Jason. Not too bad at Sandown today. A good competitive off-season program. We're racing on a soft 7. Weather's pretty cold, but don't think we're going to get too much rain. So I'd be expecting 6 to 7 for the majority of the program at Sandown today if we do miss any rain.
Race number 3 is over 1,200 metres in New Zealand. It's set to jump at just before 3 o'clock at 2:55. Have you got one for us in this?
Yeah, I think on a tough program to find a standout, the horse I like is William Thomas. Now, I've been kicking up for him for a while. He won pretty impressively 2 starts ago at Caulfield in fast time. Admittedly, it was a weaker race, but then went to Caulfield last time out. Now, he finished behind a couple of his key rivals that he clashes with today in both Jungle Edge as well as Malibu Style. But it was a race where Jungle Edge led, and he led at a much slower speed than what he usually does. It not only inconvenienced him because it set the race up for those either on speed or just behind the speed with a better turn of foot, but it inconvenienced the race for William Thomas completely as he was just too far back given the pattern on the day at Caulfield. It was really hard to make ground a fortnight ago, and he was too far back, came home in some of the fastest closing sectionals of the entire program. I thought the effort was really good. On a fairer surface, I don't think you want to be getting too far back today, but on a track that probably gives everyone more of a chance. If he can just posse up that little bit closer in the small field, I think he can finish over the top of them and be hard to beat. I'm not suggesting we necessarily lock in the price now. I think if we wait, we'll probably get, due to his racing pattern, I think we'll get 260 plus come jump time.
In race number 4, notice a horse like Morrissey. Now, a couple of starts ago, won really nicely at a tasty price, and then last time at Flemington. What did you make of that run? Were there excuses?
Well, I just think he was exposed up the straight. I don't think he relished being ridden up on speed down the straight track. So a few key things for Morrissey. Getting back around the bend, I think, is number 1. Number 2, he can make his own luck on speed on a day. I do think that's going to be an advantage. And the other key factor in his favour is Craig Williams going on. So a really positive jockey change for him today. And with those factors, I'm expecting the market to really focus around him late, and I think he's going to start favourite in the race because of those things in his favour. So I think it's a good day for him. Morrissey, I'm going to overlook the last run, and if you do, I think he's the horse to beat in the 4th race on the program.
Race number 6 is over 2,100 metres, and there a colt by Epaulet called Predecessor lines up as drawn wide, is $16 though. A Dogmatics $2.50, Tysonic is $5. What case can you make for Predecessor?
Well, the leading contenders all come through the same race in Dogmatic, Tysonic, as well as Mangione, and I'm not going to take the form from Caulfield a fortnight ago as gospel. I'm a little suspect on that program and whether that form's going to translate. Pound for pound, coming out of that meeting was certainly an advantage to be on speed that day. Predecessor, on the other hand, I think the wide draw is a real plus. He doesn't appreciate racing inside of horses. 2 starts ago, he was terrific behind Ridgewood Drive in a high-pressure race at Flemington. He was just a little too close to the speed that day. It was a very fast speed. I think it left both Ridgewood Drive and him a little flat when they had their next run, and I'm going to overlook their next start. He was too bad to be true last time, Predecessor, but if you ignore the last run, you go on the fact that he's got the wide draw today, which is suitable. He can roll forward on the speed, which is a big plus. And on the effort 2 starts ago, if he could run up to that today in a pretty moderate race, I think he can give it a big shake, and I think Mark Zara going on is a real key for this horse, one of the better jockeys we've got in the country.
Given his price, Ben, how would you recommend playing a horse like Predecessor units-wise?
Yeah, I'd be 1 by 3, so I'm going to have something smaller to win, but triple the amount the place, and hope that he can, if he doesn't win, that he can get there into the top 3. And I think he's a good chance of doing so because he can make his own luck on the speed. So I think that's a big plus for the horse. And I certainly would be including him in any multiples you're playing, whether it's trifectas, quaddies, etc. So hopefully it'll be a nice result if we can get him up and be a nice start to the quaddie anyway.
Outstanding. Now, Ben Ascari is speaking to us about some of the best bets from our venue in Australia today, Sandown. 9 races, in fact, and the first leg of the quaddie there at 4:45. Ben is form analyst for racing.com. So that's a look at our key Australian venues. Also racing at Ipswich today with plenty of New Zealand interest also. But it's the domestic racing that we'll hone back in on with Bevan Sweeney at Awapuni next.
The favourite in front, giving a sight now from Jealous Boy. Oh, Des Sure just dipped on landing, nearly dropped the jockey. That's an unbelievable effort to get back into the saddle there. What an amazing victory! Des Sure, and he loved it, Akuru.
I could leave so soon. I should have said that I would stay for you.
You're watching the Punters Lounge Live, Valachi Downs, bringing you the program this Saturday morning, taking you to Awapuni, where Bevan Sweeney is hosting the action. And Sween's just a little bit of cloud about. The question is it a Jimmy Shoe or Red Band sort of day on the track? What can you tell us about the surface we're racing on today?
It's a red band for sure, and they've got to be knee high, not the little short ankle ones with the amount of rain that has fallen here in the Manawatu over the last sort of 4 or 5 days. Yes, a very good morning everyone. Welcome into the first featured jumps day here in the Central Districts, Chase and Hurdles Day. Look, it's going to be really good jumping action, but it becomes a bit of a guessing game, to be fair with you and honest with you, around the flat racing, exactly who is going to handle track conditions like this. So look, pick your spot and have a little look at one. If you find one you like and think will handle these track conditions, go with it. But I'll be giving you general little sort of thoughts around what can handle these track conditions, and not really have a lot of confidence about putting the label around any sort of horse on the flat this afternoon. Look, I thought it was important clearly to get the thoughts around the track conditions, so we went and sourced the track manager. Barry Bambury joined us a short time ago. Barry Bambury joins me. Rail back in the true position for today's meeting.
Yes, we're back into true for the entire circuit using the long course.
Okay, we haven't been there since March, so there should be, for at least the first couple of races, a bit of good ground down there.
Well, hopefully there'll be, it'll be all right for a while.
Okay, give us a rundown on the rain that's fallen, because it was, to my eye, a massive Thursday coming through this part of the world.
For the last 48 hours, 40 mil, and it's just been enough to make it a very heavy 11.
I suppose when you get that much rain, it does become very even across the whole track. It's going to be heavy 11 across the entire circuit.
Inside to out. Yeah. No, there'll be no fast lanes. No.
One thing is true, Jace, there will be no fast lane today. There will be a few horses plotting the last 150 for sure, and horses will be well beaten a long way from home. It is very, very wet here, clearly, at Awapuni. Yeah, these things are relative, aren't they? Some will be going faster than others and obviously slower than others. But let's pick up the preview from race number 3. And this is the market for the Manawatu ITM Awapuni Hurdles. Galante at $2.50, Al Corby $4.40 with class above and max. Much action, Stephen Hunt, as we come to you, race number 3.
It has to be said, there's races throughout the card that hold more turnover than the Manawatu Hurdles to date, Jason. But if there was a lead, it's round number 4, Galante, $2.80 during the week, now trading at $2.50. Looks set to start a very warm favourite, one of the features today at Awapuni. In front of Al Corby, $4 out to $4.40. Class above in that third line of betting, $6.50 out to $7. Little money at this stage around the Kevin Myers runner in class above. In fact, the fourth line runner in max, number 7, has been the second best back runner in front of Al Corby in class above. $8.50. Got out to $9, just traded back into $8, and that's only just happened, Jason, the last half an hour. We know how good Max is over the chase, or over the higher jumps, but he's going over the hurdles today. He's had the 1 win, where over the bigger jumps, he's had the 5 wins. So interesting runner in this feature, but well supported, 9 into 8 this morning. A little bit of specking around Zartan at $14, but overall, if I had to give a lead, it's around Galante, second best back runner, and being Max.
Okay, Bevan, is that sort of the way that you viewed the race, similarly to the market?
Well, yes. Galante came with a big rep, was beaten by quite a smart sort of horse in Bad Boy Brown at Trentham. So you'd say from those conditions to here, there's not going to be a massive difference. I think it's wetter here, though. I really do think it is wetter here this afternoon. So it's going to be a real stamina test. This horse is getting 2,500 out to the 2,900. I don't think it lied down on its run here at Trentham as we bring you the footage here. Bad Boy Brown in the yellow. And Galante in the centre. Now, he has been very, very good this preparation. The run at Hastings was a little bit of a surprise on that better track conditions, but he's won 2 mil, so he should be able to gallop. And then this performance at Trentham, it was only the last couple of hops that Bad Boy Brown got the best of him. So, look, he's a horse going the right way, isn't he, clearly? Like, he'll be tested over the 2,900 metres. I think it'll run like 3,500. So it's going to be a bit of a major test for him on these sort of track conditions. He's got a little bit more leg speed than most, and it took a pretty smart sort of horse to pick him up and beat him on that occasion. He's going to be a bit of a star, Bad Boy Brown, on that performance. So, look, I understand the money there, but look, my respect when you get to these sort of races sort of hinges around Raymond Connors, Isaac Lupton, that combination know what they're doing. They've been here and done this before. They've run in the hurdle last year from memory. Look, he didn't go overly well that year, but this race was light on nominations. I understand why he's here. He needs another run, and this will run like 3,500 metres, and that's where he really gets his mojo going. This is over the 4,150 metres at Ellerslie steeplechasing. So this shows you what sort of stamina and depth this little horse has got, being by Gallant Guru out of Vatique, brought out of the South Island, as many of these Connors horses are. He's just too tough, isn't he? He just keeps on rolling to the line, and if we get to a similar sort of place in this race over the 2,900 metres, he'll be staying stronger than any horse in the race. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's just whether it's going to run as the sort of trip that'll play into his hands. But I just feel as though the price is well takeable. I'm not really with Galante at that sort of price, although he is my top selection in the race form-wise. 7 max is the price I'm interested in having a look at. I was impressed with Alcorby on the flat, blinkers going on these track conditions. I suppose there's going to be a major plus around that particular horse. And I thought Jock and Rint ended a little bit of interest here. I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to work out for Jock and Rint, but having won 8 of 48, you'd expect him to be well capable, being by Issue Guru. You'd imagine track conditions aren't going to be against Sartan's another horse. But look, the price in the race for me, Jason, clearly max. I know it's a hurdle, not a steeplechase, but look, he'll be still going when others are really starting to hit the bottom.
Okay, that's the Awapuni Hurdles, race number 4, and a race that the market has put a circle around and decided to attack a horse. Rosewood is $1.80 on option 678 Dares, $5.50 De Gaulle is at 9, Strolling Vagabond at 11, Platinum Command at 12. Have you managed to turn the tap off on Rosewood, Stephen Hunt?
Not at this stage, Jason. They're pretty happy to take the $1.80, and they were very happy to take the opening line $1.90 during the week on Wednesday from memory. Number 1, Rosewood. Nice little platform going to this weight for age, back to handicap conditions with that key 4 kg claim. Gets it down to 56 kilograms and being third up on a testing heavy 11 really does suit Rosewood. So she does look to be the multi-special. Plenty of single bets, a number of 4-figure bets. The best the biggest bet from memory, Jason, has been 1,800 on Rosewood, and we accepted that on Wednesday afternoon. In front of Des, now 5 out to 550. There is a little bit of action around Des. He looks to be the default second fave. He clearly will be running for us, there's no doubt about it, but there has been a little bit of action in the last hour or so around Des. Blinkers on, Lisa Allpress opting to stay on Des. And the other interesting runner is Our Bandit. Currently the rank outside at $51. Now Lisa normally rides this horse. Charlotte O'Byrne takes the ride here with Lisa on Des, but gets it down to 51 kilograms and at $51 currently. If the race was to jump right now, it's our biggest liability being at that price. So where that price ends up, I'm not too sure. But overall, best back runner, and the best back runner on the day at Awapuni has been Rosewood, 1.9 into 1.8.
Here is the formpro.co.nz Form Pro ratings speed map for the Red Stag Open. Manhattan Street, one of the horses that could go forward. Not quite sure, given the time off that it's all bouts had, what sort of horse will present and how aggressively they'll choose to ride it. Same with Strolling Vagabond, or not the same in terms of the reasons, but Strolling Vagabond has speed, but it's drawn out. Kate de Jure. Look, I thought it was at a pretty big price, Bevan, but look, were you with Rosewood here? How did you sort of sort through it?
We've just been tossing and turning a little bit, Jace, whether Rosewood is an apprentice's horse. A couple of occasions you've seen Lisa working strongly on Rosewood at the 7, the 6, the 500 metre mark to sort of get her up and get her through her gears. I think then once the mind's really sparked up, she does pretty much what she likes, and if she's in that sort of mind frame, we've seen what she did last winter and what she did here at Wanganui. I watched the first call yesterday. I thought Aidan's thoughts were interesting. I think we would have argued a fair bit around his thoughts that this should have been overturned, because I never really thought Rosewood was established in the gap and had every chance to, if it was going well enough, to go through there. That said, she did change back towards the inside and go nicely. Joel Cheto found again. Platinum Rapper's a nice horse. Our Poppy out wide is also a nice horse. So they're really good horses in front of her on a wet track condition. So, look, it's hard to go past her. And look at the attitude late at the line. She's really trying very, very strongly for Lisa Allpress. Hazel's very talented. I don't think there's any doubt about that. She's not a rider to this point that we have really seen draw the stick. A couple of slaps down the neck will be required at some point on Rosewood. If she responds to that, she'll be winning, because her wet track record is just so outstanding. But I do have a couple of niggles around Rosewood. Strolling Vagabond I'm interested in here if they ride this horse positively. Under Madan Singh, that is generally his pattern from that gate. He can pick a wide path, and she can be very good in these sort of track conditions as well at her best. Des, blinkers on. I was actually disappointed at his fresh up run, but he's sure to improve. He's got a long winter in front of him. Platinum Command at best is the match of Rosewood. Just the question mark is whether she is anywhere near there. And I'm with you on Cape de Joux. Look, a mare that we saw last winter win a couple of really nice staying races on very wet track conditions, and then has had a few runs on better ground than required, and maybe just needed that one over 2,100 metres for today's event. I wouldn't be scared to have a little bit each way, but if Rosewood responds to Hazel, then I think the expectation will be that she will do her thing and win here this afternoon, Jace.
Yeah, I'll be watching the build-up to that race, Sweens, because if you can get that nod from Gary Vile that all is well with Cape de Joux, it might be tempting to put a 1 over 2 or something like that on her. Just that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've always rated her very highly and been waiting for her to get up over ground, and 1,500 metres will be like over ground here this afternoon. She's been well capable, and when she won those 2 staying races and she put them together last winter in a row, she's very, very dominant, and she always cuts a really pretty picture, big, strong mare by Nom de Joux, so she'll handle track conditions to my eye.
It's a big lead balloon that's fallen just to the right of me here in the studio. Race number 5. This is the market for it, and this is how things stack up for the LJ Hooker Manawatu steeplechase. $3.10 Des de Joux, $3.60 Kip Kano's, $3.70 for Gargarin, and then you've got Wise Men Say $6. Has it been about the sort of the headline horse Des de Joux here, Stephen Hunt, or sort of there been money for others?
Look, there has been money for others, Jason, but look, he profiles as a betting prospect, doesn't he, Des de Joux? From what he did this time last year, he looked to be a real promising chaser this time round. So there's a lot of money riding on Des de Joux to do the business here of Aaron Kudu aboard. $3.10 off a high of $3.20. The only question mark we thought here when we were pricing him is he's yet to be proven over the real extreme distance of 4,000 plus. His maiden being over 3,200 metres, where this race alone is over the 4,200 metres. So that's our one question mark, and we're willing to take him on to a degree, Des de Joux. Kip Keno, now he's won his maiden chase over that 4,000 metres and been well supported. $4.80 was the top fluck during the week, now training at $3.60. You could even got $3.80 around about 30 minutes ago. So outside Des de Joux, Kip Keno in that second line has been very well supported. Gargarin is quiet, $3.40 out to $3.70. Cannot ride a ticket on the Kevin Myers runner. Wise Men Say friendless at $6, even though he's got a reasonable record first up. Now Countess, if there's one in the middle market, it's been specced in the first 2 to 3 days. Our Countess 10 out to 12, but currently a losing result. But they're pretty keen on the top 2 here, Des de Joux and Kip Keno.
Old Countess at times has looked really good on heavily rain-affected tracks. Bevan, how did you sort through the Manawatu steeples?
Well, I think Des is a rising star, Jason, to my eye. Went hurdling last Saturday and hit the line really nicely on some pretty deep, dark testing track conditions. Will only love the step up in ground to the 4,200 metres. So, look, I'm a little bit wrapped up in him. His win here, I know Steve mentioned that distance, but he had to make up about 1,000 metres after he fell over. So I think he's very, very sharp. You see his ears prick there when he takes that one. Look, he's much more of a chaser. I think you can just see that about him. And he's beaten by a pretty smart sort of horse here and no tips. So, look, the way he ran home nicely there in that particular performance, expect him to run a really nice race here this afternoon. And I think he's a rising star. I really do think he is a rising star in the jumping ranks this afternoon, and I expect him to be winning, and I'm confident enough or keen enough with no real confidence on the flat to put him as my best bet on the program. I think the bookmakers have been kind in giving you $3.10, so I marked him much, much shorter than that in my particular market. I know he's a little bit untested when you get to this sort of level of jumpers, and there are some smart ones here. Wise men say, clearly, he's done it all before. Gargarin was second in this race, second last year, and then you've got Old Countess, who's been in some really nice races. Joking's running second in a couple of runnings of this after having a fractured pastern. So, look, he's been a marvel, really joking with what he has done. And Kip Kono, albeit 11, ran home nicely last time, but I love him. Des de Jure, a little bit about what happened last year, but more about his ability, and I think he's going to be a very good steeplechaser this season.
Yeah, should be a good race, that's for sure. The Manawatu Steeples. The Tasman Insulation Pink Fit 1200 is the 6th on the card. What's up? $3.80. Victor Vegas 4. Rufus Roughcut and Booty Lara $5.50 and $6.50. Tabard is now 13. Significant scratchings, I suppose, here. Stephen Hunt with Lincoln Hills Play the Field out, as well as Last Chance and Zedabel Lass.
Yeah, no, well done notifying those key scratchings. The 19% deduction, Jason, around those key scratchings. So, look, in a race that really was probably one of the better betting races on the card. Look, there's still 4 or 5 winning chances, but definitely been hurt by Lincoln Hills and Play the Field that came out this morning. Has now made What's Up favourite. Interesting runner, 16 back to 12, but we know the 1200 today at Aupuni might play more like a mile anyway. So Punters pretty keen on What's Up. Could have got $4 this morning, now trading at $3.80. Victor Vegas first up. Interesting to see how many winners or how they perform first up runners today at Aupuni. Been a little bit friendless, $3.80 out to $4. So What's Up and Victor Vegas have done the old switcheroo this morning. Now What's Up top line betting. Rufus Roughcut in that second line of betting, 6 into $5.50, well supported. Booty Lara 2 on the bounce, looking for a treble at $6.50. It remains that opening line this morning. And then Blaze has been very well spec'd. $10 you could have got yesterday afternoon. With deductions, got as high as $8 this morning, now travelling at $7. So there's 4 or 5 without a clear lead in this particular event, Jason.
Okay, this is the speed map brought to you by Form Pro, and with significant scratchings, it appears as though in Blaze and Barter Bullet it would be those horses, at least early, that could share the speed, and then a whole lot of jockeying in behind for positions. Do we go again, Bevan Sweeney? What's up? Do we go again?
Oh, I'm still counting my losses from last Saturday, Jace. Unfortunately, you sort of get the right one and one horse sort of goes with him and the rest of them are about 20 lengths away. A little bit disappointing on Saturday, but he didn't lie down, did he? He's a very honest sort of horse. But the problem is there's just been no miles programmed around here for a horse like this. So he has to go 1,200 metres. Again, it's going to run like 14, maybe 1,500, so it's not going to be massively against him. He's very, very honest in his attitude and he does plough through wet ground. I think he can take a position forward as well. I don't think he's a horse that has to be back in the run. And if he gets forward in the run, they'll take a lot to get past him. I was very keen on Victor Vegas until New York Minute did what she did through last week. This was a very good trial effort. I know on ground that is a lot different to what we will get here this afternoon, but he's a horse that was with the Baker and Forsman team and now with Peter Locke. He's travelled down for 1, so you'd imagine this horse is really forward to run this afternoon. You see New York Minute out wide and she just rolls into it. We know her ability, she's got her ears pricked, but this horse is very honest in attitude, and look, I think with that sort of action he'll get through the ground here this afternoon, and he has a record that suggests he will, although the record here at Aupuni is not great. So I ended up with him over What's Up. Look, Booty Lara is a very, very nice horse. Gee, it was some performance last time, and then we'll put in Rufus Roughcut, who's probably in the right spot for the Lennox team to run sort of some sort of race here this afternoon. So I went that way, but again, I'm not really sure if I sort of went back through it a third, fourth and maybe fifth time, Jace, I might just go with the really fit horse, and that's What's Up here in race number 6 on the program.
No, you've dropped What's Up. You've got Victor Vegas on top. That's that hurts. Race number 7. Let's move on. Race number 7 on the card, and this is how the Nelson Pine Industries 1600 shapes up. $4.20, very appealing. Tiro is at $4.80 from Leading Roll and Happy Star. Peter McKenzie has often pulled off some coups in the past punting-wise, Stephen Hunt. Was it a case of that Happy Star last time?
Absolutely, Jason. Saying that, he's been well supported in 4 races to date, Happy Star, and they got the Bickies last start 7 days ago at Trentham, and they are reinvesting at the $6.50. There's a couple there backing in front of Happy Star, one of them being number 9, very appealing, even though it's drawn the ace. Jonathan Parks does the riding. $4.50 top fluck into $4.20. Looks set to start favourite. Tiro on that second line. I've got as high as $4. Got as short as $4.40, should I mention, now out to $4.80 in that second line. Leading Roll, 7-6, well supported, one of the locals. Deep Blue is an interesting runner, probably one of the best backed and nice each way quote up and down the card. Our pony number 10, Deep Blue, just loomed up and gave in the last furlong first up. So punters believe second up should be able to get over the line or pretty close to it. Drawn barrier number 4, $8.50 top fluck during the week, now travelling at $7.50. A little bit of speaking right down the bottom of the book, number 14, Tipperary Mary, 12 into 10. So there's 3 or 4, probably notably number 5, Tiro, has been very, very quiet in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, that's an interesting sort of race. There's no doubt about that. Deep Blue, you'd think, should be improved. Looked like it blew out last time, that's for sure. Okay, the speed map, and then Bevan's thoughts on this race. Very appealing, draw on the inside, and you just wonder whether that's going to be any good at all, drawing the inside by race number 7. Sweens, the other speed from out wide might be more significant.
I think a very appealing in an absolute world of pain, to be honest with you. With that sort of draw, Jonathan will have to pull off something pretty special to get it into the right part of the track to be a winning chance. Look, I thought the bookmakers might have given us a bit of value on one in this particular race. They haven't. Pretty keen on Leading Roll here this afternoon. 4th up this preparation, 1,600 metres. I know at times he has let us down, but when he wins with a lot of dominance, and he generally does run this place really well. Look, his record on the heavy ground is not there, but I've just got a sneaking suspicion that he might just get through this okay. I thought the bookmakers were going to give us 10, 11, maybe 12, even more, but they're right on to it. They've given you $7, so I was keen on Leading Roll. Outside of that, in a tough race, look, I had very appealing in the mix, but we'll just have to monitor that throughout the day as to what that inside draw is dictating. 2 Happy Star handled the wet track last time at Trentham, but this is a much stronger field than what it struck at maiden 14 grade at Trentham. And then Tipperary Mary, a horse that I followed at times, much better last time, a couple of kilos off, might get through these track conditions, but not really 100% sure. I thought Leading Roll was maybe a little bit of value in the race, although I did want a little bit more Jason than the bookmakers were offering.
We'll see if Stephen Hunt can turn it out a little bit. Race number 8, the Winston Wallboards, 1,600, and this is the market for it. Wafers at $3.30 from $5.50. Snowfall, Princeville there at $6.50. Any feelings for charity, Stephen Hunt? Any feelings for charity from you?
Short answer, no. Oh, no, I think there's some nice prices up and down the card. Some of them have already been snapped up, Jason, but heading into the last, they are pretty keen on number 7 and Snowfall. In fact, they're pretty keen on a couple of last start maiden winners, one of them being Snowfall. Again, Jonathan Parks, we've already mentioned it just in the previous, drawn the ace in barrier 1, so that will be a challenge in itself. But look, open $6.50, and it's been very well supported. Probably one of the better back runners today alone. The first 2 or 3 hours of trading is Snowfall. Never underestimate an unbeaten galloper, and even though it was a bunch finish, he did the job first up, Snowfall. So well supported at $5.50, even though it's in that second line of betting. Wafer at $3.30. I think it's found its bottom mark at 3.3. If you want to back Wafer, potentially it could drift from that quote. Princeville, the other maiden winner last start, very impressive for the Kevin Myers stable, 8 into $6.50. So the second, third favourite are the best backed, and nice little lead in the last. And a little bit of specking around the veteran number 1, Nitro Ted. Another claim with Hazel Chauffeur doing the riding here, getting its top weight down to 56 kilograms. 13 High Peak now trading at $9.
We are pressing the button on Snowfall here, Sweens.
Not really, Jason. It's not really my pattern to be backing a maiden winner into a 65 on ground like this. Although, look, she did have that sort of action and attitude to maybe push on with it. My best value was clearly in this particular race, and it's drawn the car park, the 10. Estefania for Richard McKenzie. You go back through this horse's form lines, it has the best in the race. It was in behind Platinum Rapper, beaten 5 lengths at its most recent performance. The run behind Star Quality was pretty good on a tough run. The run behind Edwardian Lady I quite liked. I thought $21 was something that I was keen to have a gold coin each way on, so I'll put it out on top, the 11. Outside of that, yes, Snowfall will run a race again. That draws a real niggle. Wafer, gee, she's become very, very hit and miss. She's got a bit more brilliance than a deep, heavy 11 could be afforded. And then outside of that, Lady Vera Wood went nicely. I do wonder about De Grinner and where they'll go with this horse. First time back on some really wet track conditions for John Wheeler and Dylan Turner, but look, I want to find some value somewhere. I thought the 11 Estefania was a horse that you could just have a little each way on at a decent sort of quote and maybe get some sort of result in the last on the program. Okay, Sweens. This is why we pay you the big dollars to come up with a $100 strategy for a day like today. How do we make coin? You made the relevant point, like a day like today. How do we? Des de jure. Okay, I'm going with Des. I was mucking around with all sorts of ideas about how to make some money today, and I thought, well, look, I'm a fan. I think he's a very good steeplechaser. I think he's going to be very competitive in the best of steeplechasers this season, if that's what Mark chooses. So he's my best bet, Des de jure. They put up more than I was expecting at $3.10, so why not put the whole 100 on him and sort of pin our flag to his bridle and hope that he takes us home in one of the feature races on the program. So Des is my go here this afternoon, Chase. Excellent stuff. Bevan Sweeney at Awapuni. He'll be joined by Tony Lee and the 8-race card with the Awapuni Hurdles and the Manawatu Steeples. From Awapuni, we take you now to Ruakaka for the racing there, and these are the scenes. Aidan Rodley has made his way up from Auckland following the first call yesterday to Ruakaka. Aidan, how would you describe the seasonal conditions that present? Good morning.
I think that's a loaded question, Jason. Good morning to you. Yeah, it doesn't feel like winter for sure. It is really warm here, and I went and had a little wander up the track, which is in really good order too, let me just say. And you get a little bit of a sweat up because it is a lot warmer than what we're used to down in the Waikato at the moment. I can assure you of that, Jason. Yeah, the rail's in the true position. This is the remodel track. It shows how long I've been up at Ruakaka on course for trackside. The remodel track obviously sees that the rail there, true. It's been a bit of a fast lane in recent times, and the way it walks, certainly the inside, there's no knock on how that's going to play today. Out wider, it has been presented in really good order for today's 8-race card, Jason.
Tell us about the two Shelley Hale runners, Aidan, that have come out.
Yeah, interesting story, Jason. I've just rung Shelley. Obviously, we've got deductions as well, so punters take note on that. So go Nicholas and also 7th up out of racing here at Ruakaka today. I spoke to Shelley. She had a blowout at the top of the Auckland Harbour Bridge in her float. So the truck was obviously stationed on the Auckland Harbour Bridge. It took her 70 minutes before a repairman came, and then the repairman didn't have the right tools and was unable to get the job done. They had to go away, get the right tools, and by the time she got off the Harbour Bridge, she had a chance to inspect the horses, and she said that they're just cooked in the back by then, so in no state to take their place today. So it's a bit of a frustration for Shelley, understandably, and of course she got down to Te Teko for a runner down there on Wednesday, only to have that meeting abandoned as well, so she's not having the best of luck.
Wow, that's that is seriously bad luck, that's for sure, with that abandonment and then the blowout on top of the Auckland Harbour Bridge. Okay, let's get through the preview and get your thoughts on the 8-race program here, and there is an injection into the late quaddie, a $20,000 bonus into the late quaddie. Dragonstorm's at $3, $3.20 Volante. You've got the Heiress and King's Cross at $5 and $6 respectively. Stephen Hunt, has this just trimmed up a little bit, Dragonstorm, in the last hour or so?
Absolutely, Jace, you've nailed it. Number 2, Volante, and number 6, Dragonstorm, $3.20 each of 2, ran about 30 minutes ago. Dragonstorm now sits at the top line at $3. And currently holds around about, looking at my risk manager, 3 times more money than Volante. So on that alone, that's why we've made it favourite Dragonstorm. Gibbs Bradley horse. We're going to hear this right throughout the program on a number of their horses being winning chances. Valente, look, I don't want to put punters off, well supported at 320. The Harris has been friendless, 460 out to 5 this morning. Probably wanted a little bit more rain around the Harris. King's Cross, interesting runner, first time over a staying trip, well supported for the Stephen Marsh stable, $6.50 into $6. And Alferando, not been left alone also by punters, did run second to Sheriff last campaign in this grade at a distance on this course. So that's not bad form line. Alferando, well supported at $10, but nothing else to speak of. But the best lead is number 6, Dragon Storm, drawn the ace, Maddie Cameron, who's a $2.05 chance to take out today's J Challenge.
Look, the shape of the race changes significantly with Red Cayenne not starting. Here is the Form Pro speed map. It looks like this Volante, you'd expect now, Aidan Rodley to get a largely uncontested lead.
Yeah, absolutely, and because of that, its stocks have certainly risen, haven't they? Jason, after She's a Thief, who fought really well for fourth at Ellerslie last time out, did only beat the Heiress by a length and a quarter, and the Heiress comes in 3.5 kilograms better, but obviously not quite in such a good place on the map. But I wouldn't be ruling the Heiress out because that was an eye-catcher last time out as well. Certainly an improved run and one on the upwards scale. It does really now sort of pointer around Volante and Dragon Storm, who was terrific here last time out. Without that extra speed in the race, Dragon Storm, who draws barrier 1, should be able to position up pretty well here. Concussion plates come off and really was impressive last time out. Peeled out from 3 back the fence and was too strong. So my numbers here, Volante over Dragon Storm, 2 over 6, throwing in 3 the Heiress and 5 King's Cross. I'll give that a bit of a chance as well.
Race number 3 is the Northland Veterinary. It's a 1400 metre rating 82 event, and hanger is $3. $3.80 Amazing As, Magic of the Sun $4.60, and Kalani $5.50. So be pretty keen on a money lead here, Stephen, because I thought it quite a tricky race. We'll talk with Aidan about the speed map soon, but what can you tell us about the cash?
Yeah, tricky race when doing the form during the week, Jason, but they're pretty keen on number 1, Kalani, and that's a key lead. The fact that the stablemate is number 6 and hanger for the James Wellwood team. Kalani second up, $6 into $5.50. If the race was to jump right now, it is clearly the best back runner in what is a small field. A hanger, $2.80 out to $3 alone this morning. Amazing As, look, there's plenty of support around him, but normally when we see this horse go around on its home track, it's clearly our biggest liability. So there is room for improvement because at the moment it's round about an even term of weight loss, or should I say money loss around Amazing As. So at $3.80, solid enough in that second line of betting. And Magic of the Sun, who looks to be one of the leaders in the race, well supported 5 into 4.6. And then we go to Kalani, which I've already touched on, in that fourth line of betting, probably the best lead in what is a mucky old race thus far in trading. And just back a couple of key deductions. In the first, a Red Cayenne, 28% deduction in your bets prior to today. And in the race we're just touching on, race 3, Go Nicholas has come out 8% deduction around that individual.
This is the Form Pro speed map, and Aidan, I suppose the tricky thing is it looks like Magic of the Sun, Admiral and maybe Spider could take those handy spots, but look, if they don't go that hard, even though, you know, generally it's not the case to get back, because it's a small field, maybe those horses like Kalani and Hanger with really sharp turns of foot could get into it. How did you sort of sort it out? I thought it was very hard.
Yeah, exactly. I was with the idea that Magic Sun would be leading here, and it'll just be interesting on jockey intent all day, won't it, at Ruakaka, especially if it is to pattern of recent meetings where those who have been on the fence have certainly got an advantage. I rang our producer Shane Cuthbert earlier on today. He said, "Oh, what's your value bet of the day?" Well, I said, "Well, Kalani about $9," and he said, "Well, it's at $6.50." And then I see now again into $5.50. I had it on top, Kalani. Spoke to Robert Wellwood during the week, and he was more angling towards Hanger, but I was pretty keen on Kalani. Here's a horse who 2 starts back was running in a Group 1 Thorndon Mile. Didn't fire fresh up at Ellerslie. That was after a really encouraging trial when flashing down the outside for 4th at Cambridge that day. I'm just going to play the forgive card on Kalani. We know the horse has got ability, and talking to Robert as well, just saying that, you know, he's had his soundness issues, but there's no concerns with him at the moment on that score. Obviously, Hanger's going to take some sort of beating. I'm pretty keen on Spider back on the home track as well. The starts away from home have been useful enough, and the course record outstanding here, 16 starts for 4 wins and 7 minor placings, and obviously you can't rule out Admiral, who is a stakes winner as well. On top for me though, Kalani, and I'm kind of buoyed by that money move as well here, Jason.
Wasn't your money though, was it? You were buoyed by your own money move?
I don't have that sort of money. No, as Stephen said, like he was going about weight loss, I'd rather have my weight loss than the money loss.
That's true. I need a bit of weight loss as well. That's another thing. That's for a way different show than this, not the Punters Lounge Live. Race number 4, Quizmasters $2.80, Mac Attackers at 5. Oh no, don't Mac it. No, 550 Stilton Socialites. Stephen Hunt. Race number 4, money moves, not weight loss.
Number 5, Mac Attacker, Jason, clearly, which is funny enough. We're talking about these stablemates up and down the card. Mac Attacker v Quizmaster. Quizmaster, you see on the eye there, $2.80 v Mac Attacker at $5. But as it stands right now, Mac Attacker holds 6 times more money than Quizmaster. So that $2.85 discrepancy might tighten up throughout the afternoon. And the second favourite, $5 Mac Attack. And third favourite, Stilton's been well supported, probably one of the better back runners in this particular race this morning. Stilton, number 7, as high as $6.50, now travelling at $5.50. Socialites has been well supported, back on a better track, I think suits. Thomas Aquinas took an age to get a maiden win, Thomas Aquinas, but punters believe it can go back to back here, up in grade. Got as high as $10 this morning, now travelling at $8.50, and nothing really else to speak outside the ones I've mentioned, but the big talking point is around Mac Attacker being the better back runner in front of the current favourite, number 1, Quizmaster.
Aidan Rodley, how influenced are you by that information, Mac Attacker being a lot better backed than a horse like Quizmaster? Where did they fit in also into this race for you?
Well, it's obviously really significant, but also significant is the interview you had with Chris Gibbs earlier in the show, Jason, where he was plumping for Quizmaster as the better of his pair. So I'm going to go on board with that more. Looking at that speed map, I think Socialites can slot into the first 5 and running here. And I did hear Stephen Marsh on the radio this morning saying that they would be riding Socialites positively as well. But Quizmaster was terrific last time. Let's go and have a look at that Pukekohe run. This was the second up effort as well, was right on speed this day and kicked on pretty well. Comes back to Ruakaka today where the record is very good. 4 starts here for 2 wins and a minor placing on the home track. Third up should be at fever pitch for this preparation, and did win a rating 72 race here in January. Now, rating 72 form very good in the context of this race, you'd think, and here's a horse who went round in the Sarton Memorial back in October at Tarapa, running 6th in that race, only 2 lengths from Madison County. So the form lines around Quizmaster are all very good. I think this is a run that would have just topped him off perfectly, and I think he's going to be awfully hard to beat. I've got him clearly on top in this race. Ahead of Stilton, who was reeling off big sectionals last time out at Ellerslie. The question is obviously to the firmer track at Ruakaka today. Throw in the 8 Socialites and the 5 Mac Attacker as well, but pretty keen on Quizmaster. I understand the money move and the significance of that, Jason, but I'm going to play against it. I'm going to go with the real form references here around Quizmaster, which have it clearly on top for mine.
$20,000 injection to the late quaddie. Race number 5 is the first leg of it. It's the Triggs Construction at 2:47 over 1,200 metres, and of course 7 up, as Aidan mentioned, out of this, unfortunately for Shelley Hale. Riki Tiki Tavi is $2, and is that the runner that is attracting most support here, Steve?
It has, Jason. Look, there's only one horse they're not punting, that's number 3, Irish Call. The remaining 5 runners have had a degree of money from when we opened on Wednesday up till now, Saturday morning. Riki Tiki Tavi, a lot of these prices misleading with the scratching of 7th up this morning. Got as high as $2.40 this morning, now travelling even money at $2. Memory's only well supported, drawn the ace. Looks to get a nice run in behind a couple of horses that will go forward, the likes of Rakanto, etc. at 3.8. Lucian Rio will be running for us in that third line of betting, 5.50 out of 6.5. Dougie resumes here, interesting runner. Probably wants a little bit more aqua into the surface, but has been well supported just in the last hour or so. Got as high as $9.50, just in 2.5 points to $7. Just keep an eye on that price around Dougie throughout the day. And Recanto also well supported, 10 into 9. And as I mentioned, Irish Call has got the big drifts, 14 out to 18 friendless. So a slight lead to Riki Tiki Tavi, but not over the line according to punters.
This time last year, Peter Locke presented High Flyer to win brilliantly the Open Handicap Sprint, so looking to go back-to-back with Dougie being his chance in 2019. Pace, Lucien Rio, Irish Call, Recanto, Memories Only. And then you've got Riki Tiki Tavi, Chris Gibbs hinting that maybe a positive ride on her. So could there be sort of more speed than anticipated here, Aidan?
Yeah, maybe you'd expect that Lucien Rio would be intent on leading up here. Kylie a little up from the Wairarapa. Great to see him making the big trek north as well. You spoke about Dougie and the High Flyer win this day last year. Well, Dougie ran second in the rating 85 1400 metre race and behind Vinevale. It was a really good run that day. And here's a horse who was okay at the trials. Got a long way back in that trial and was certainly doing the best work late. So I wouldn't be ruling Dougie out of this either, but I have gone with the favourite Riki Tiki Tavi, and I think in the event of having $20,000, you want to be playing that late quaddy, and I think potentially you've got a couple of Logan Bradley anchors, this being one, Riki Tiki Tavi. I know the horse hasn't won since May of last year, but has gone around in some really good races and run very good races as well in the context of those races. Speak about the Concord running fourth that day and beating home Santa Monica, who was a Group 1 railway winner, and also Princess Keteru, who won the Group 3 Waikato Stud Stallions. So on there, the visor blinkers go on as well. There's just enough about it. The positive ride. There's a few things. The horse did run third in this race last year as well. So yeah, I'm with Riki Tiki Tavi on top ahead of with the defection of 7th up the 5. Dougie is the main danger, Jason.
Okay, we'll go to the last leg of the quaddie, race number 8, and this is how things shape up for the Bream Bay Painting. 3:30 Copper Fox, and again we've got 4 Gibbs Bradley runners here, Stephen. Is that where the money's coming for, or are there other runners there that are attracting a bit of support?
There's 4 or 5 down to the stablemates. Firstly, number 9 Copper Fox, well supported, even though slightly drifted 320 out to 330 this morning. The one they do like in that particular stable is number 8 Poker Face, drawn barrier number 3 Andrew Coulter does the riding. Could have got as high as $8, now travelling at $7 and holds 3 times more money than Copper Fox. Now that might change as we get closer to race start time, tick over 4:30. But as it stands right now, 3 times more money, Poker Face v Copper Fox. Obsessive, yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more money. I know it was an enormous run first up, but was it too big after a year off? I would have thought I would have seen a little bit more traction around Obsessive. So at the moment running for us at $4.20. Verbalizer, if Super G can do the job in the previous, then Verbalizer's form is franked, and that $8.50 currently trading might come in. So $8.50 around Verbalizer. Indigenous Union, well supported at 9.5, but again, would have probably wanted to see a little bit more money coming from that particular stable, Baker Forsman. It might be a natural improvement, 2nd or 3rd up this campaign. A little bit of speaking around No Loitering, who loomed up as the winner 7 days ago at Te Rapa at long odds and was a genuine market mover 7 days ago. No Loitering, they've come again, 21 Top Fluck, now travelling at $13. And they're speaking around Lady Sequoia and Light Shadow as well. But interesting race, probably notable. Poker Face better backed out of the 2 Gibbs Bradley horses.
Great stuff. Thanks, Stephen Hunt, for your time this morning. Aidan Rodley, who are the horses that feature most prominently in your form?
Copper Fox and Poker Face. I'm with the 2 Gibbs Bradley runners. Obviously the money lead on Poker Face, and also Chris Gibbs' push for that horse as well. I had nothing between them, and probably after hearing that I'd be with Poker Face, Jason.
How about your $100? How are you going to approach the day today with that?
I've just got a couple of standouts. I thought Super G in race 7 and Quizmaster earlier in the program. I'm just happy to have $50 a piece on those. If they both win, then we're in the money. If either one wins, then they cover our outlay.
Excellent stuff. Aidan Rodley at Ruakaka. Looking forward to getting to you for more thoughts throughout the program. How about the Valachi runners today that you can see featured? Well, in the Channel 7 Ipswich Cup, they have at Terra Sancta for Tony Pike. Samson lines up in that race as well. And race 9 at Ipswich, there's New Zealand interest with Indecision and Bisu. Now, Nigel Tiley has Bisu, and of course Tony Pike has Indecision. Odeon and the Heiress, Sandown race 8 and Ruakaka race number 1. We thank Valachi Downs very much for their contribution to the Punters Lounge Live. That's a wrap for this Saturday. We head into Trackside Live now with the big Saturday of racing, and we prepare for the first with Bevan Sweeney and Tony Lee as the horses parade.
First on the program, not far away. Let's head up, Steez, and say a very good afternoon to you, T. Lee. Look, Jumps Day, always a bit of excitement, and we lit the world alight this time last year with Des de Jour.
Yeah, sure did, didn't we? On a maiden chase, only had 2 people chase that horse, and won them both. And yeah, what a day, what a crazy day. But she's got to be ready for anything, I suppose, in this game, and it was sensationally sent around the world many, many times.
Yep, and track conditions today, they will be deep as we look at the first runner. And our first, that is Eddie Gilbert for Kevin Myers. Sean Fannin does the riding. He's back steeplechasing today. He's had 1 go there, a couple of runs in, and just respecting around the stable.
Yeah, and looking pretty well. I think this horse is Eddie Gilbert, plenty of purpose around him there, so we will... Yeah, look for him. He's had the 1 chase, he said. He's looked okay at hurdles and from the right stable.
I thought Mr. Enthusiastic was a real player in this race. I thought he was very good up at Alizé on the heavy 10, and I don't think any concerns around the track conditions with Emily aboard.
No, and he parades well enough here. Tongue tie goes on him today.
Who can tell? Is it a big price has pulled up at its most recent performance? Like the record's just not there steeplechasing, so the prices are outright.
About right, yep.